Imagine being trapped in a storm of emotions, where anger, frustration, and sadness swirl around you, making it impossible to breathe. The truth is, these feelings often arise from circumstances beyond our control. An inconsiderate remark, a twist of fate that didn't align with our desires, or an unjust moment that shakes our sense of fairness. In response, we either erupt like a volcano or retreat into silence. But what if I told you that none of these external forces hold the power to disturb your peace unless you allow them to? Anger can be a relentless fire, consuming not just others, but also eating away at your own inner sanctum. It clouds your judgment, shrouds your clarity, and turns you into a puppet, dancing to the whims of the world around you. The ancient wisdom of the Stoics teaches us that true strength lies not in bending others to our will, but in mastering our own responses. Epictetus wisely observed, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." This profound insight empowers you to reclaim your inner peace, regardless of the chaos life hurls your way. Anger and frustration may flare up momentarily, yet you hold the reins over what lingers in your mind and what drifts away like wisps of cloud. Today, I invite you to explore 8 transformative Stoic principles that have illuminated the path to liberation from the clutches of anger for countless individuals, including myself. Now, I won't pretend this journey will be effortless, but I assure you, it will be profoundly rewarding. Stay with me until the end. Each principle builds upon the last, crafting a comprehensive roadmap towards lasting tranquility. And if this resonates with your soul, I encourage you to share your thoughts. Claim your peace with the declaration, "My peace is stronger than any anger." I cherish reading each comment and connecting with you on this journey. Let's begin with the first rule. Disentangle what occurs from the meaning you assign to it. Seneca once poignantly remarked, "We are more often frightened than hurt, and we suffer more in imagination than in reality." This rings especially true when it comes to anger. The source of your upset is seldom the actual event. It's the narrative you weave around it. Picture this. Someone abruptly cuts you off in traffic. Instantly, a torrent of thoughts floods your mind. How dare they disregard me? They've put my life in danger. People are so selfish. But what if you flip the script? Perhaps they are racing to the hospital. Maybe they simply didn't see you, or they are caught up in their own carelessness. Why should their lapse in judgment rob you of your serenity? The Stoics believed that events themselves lack inherent value. It is our interpretation that imbues them with meaning. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself each day that if anything external distresses you, the pain originates not from the event itself, but from your perception of it. And you hold the remarkable power to change that perception at any moment. This realization is profoundly liberating. It implies that whenever anger begins to brew within you, you can pause, take a breath, and ask yourself, am I truly upset because of what happened, or is it the meaning I've attached to it? This single inquiry can dramatically shift the trajectory of your day. To put this principle into practice, take a moment to pause before reacting. When something begins to grate on your nerves, take a moment to pause and breathe deeply 3 times before you respond or take action. Those brief 3 seconds can be your sanctuary, restoring your sense of control. Shift your perspective on the matter at hand. Rather than thinking, "This is so unfair to me," consider the question, what if this situation has nothing to do with me? Step back from the narrative. Remind yourself that the event itself is neutral, while the judgment you apply is entirely optional. As you begin to distinguish between events and your perceptions of them, You empower yourself to choose tranquility over turmoil. You liberate yourself from being influenced by the actions of others, stepping into the role of the master of your own inner realm. Bear in mind that anger does not serve to punish the one who has wronged you. It only serves to imprison your own spirit. It robs you of your peace, your clarity, and your joy. Why would you willingly surrender your mental space to anyone else? Picture yourself as a sturdy tree standing resolutely amidst a tempest. The winds may howl and the rain may pour, but you remain firmly anchored, unyielding. The storm will eventually pass, but your strength will endure. Here's a mantra to hold close. No one controls my peace but me. Next, embrace the idea that people are inherently flawed. The great Marcus Aurelius began his morning meditations with a stark reminder. The individuals I will encounter today may be meddlesome, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, envious, and grumpy. They behave this way because they lack an understanding of right and wrong. Why would the most powerful man in the Roman Empire choose to start his day by mentally preparing for the imperfections of others? Because he understood a fundamental truth that often eludes us. Expecting perfection from others sets you up for a perpetual cycle of frustration. People are capable of deceit, betrayal, selfishness, carelessness, and even cruelty. If you navigate life anticipating otherwise, every slight will leave you shaken. However, if you accept the reality of human imperfection, you'll find yourself less shocked when it appears. Instead of responding with fury, you'll be equipped to react with empathy. When a child stumbles or makes a mistake, do you erupt in disbelief? No, you approach with understanding. You guide them gently, correct their course, and maintain your composure. Yet, with adults, we often forget this wisdom. We expect everyone to know better, and when they fall short, our anger ignites. Stoicism encourages us to flip this narrative. Expect flaws and watch them lose their ability to disturb your peace. Seneca offers us another invaluable lesson. How much wiser it is to heal than to seek revenge for a wrong. Revenge is a futile endeavor that squanders your time and drags you down to the level of those who have wronged you. What he is conveying is simple, yet profound. When others reveal their ignorance, arrogance, or malice, it is not your duty to descend into their chaos. Your true responsibility is to remain intact, to preserve your wholeness. Here's how you can weave this philosophy into the fabric of your daily life. Each morning, before you step into the world, remind yourself, today I will encounter individuals who may be rude, selfish, or unjust. Yet, none of this can strip away my peace. This mental preparation arms you against the surprises of human frailty. Approach ignorance with a fresh perspective rather than viewing it as evil. When someone hurls an insult your way, recall Marcus's insight. They are behaving this way because they are lost in ignorance, not guided by wisdom. Embrace this understanding and let it illuminate your path through the complexities of human interaction. Why hold on to anger towards someone who simply hasn't learned yet? It's time to lighten the burden of our expectations. If you believe that someone will never let you down, you're living in a dream. However, when you embrace the reality of human flaws, you free yourself from taking every slight to heart. A promise broken, a thoughtless word, or an unkind act will no longer catch you off guard. Instead, they serve as gentle reminders that we all share this human experience. Cultivating compassion is essential. When you recognize imperfections as intrinsic to our nature, you can choose to respond with empathy rather than fury. This doesn't mean you excuse poor behavior. Rather, it means you refuse to allow it to tarnish your spirit. You can correct the behavior walk away, or set boundaries, all while maintaining your composure and without succumbing to rage. Imagine stepping into a bustling market. People jostle against you, some cut in line, others chatter loudly. Would you erupt in anger at each individual, or would you accept that this is simply the nature of crowds? Life unfolds in much the same way. When you relinquish the quest for perfection, you liberate yourself from constant disappointment. True peace is found not in altering others, but in reshaping our expectations. You cannot dictate human nature, but you can control how you prepare for it. And preparation is paramount. So the next time someone behaves selfishly, instead of letting anger boil within you, remind yourself, I anticipated this. I expected this. Their flaws do not create a storm in your life. People will remain imperfect until the end of time. If you wait for a world where no one frustrates you, you will spend your days in unhappiness. But by embracing the reality of human imperfection, you'll find that surprise is a thing of the past. And when surprise vanishes, so does turmoil. This approach does not signify weakness. It reveals an unbreakable strength. True strength is not about how loudly you protest when wronged, but how gracefully you endure without being shattered. Marcus Aurelius understood that by expecting flaws, he was liberating himself from the clutches of anger. You have the power to do the same. Embrace this mantra. I expect flaws, but I choose peace. Now, let's explore the mastery of the voice within your mind. Epictetus wisely noted, men are disturbed not by things, but by the views which they take of them. This profound Stoic insight highlights that the internal dialogue, the voice that comments, critiques, and interprets, determines whether you become engulfed in anger or find solace in peace. It's not the insult itself that weighs you down, but the narrative you construct around it. This isn't fair. This always happens to me. Why can't people treat me better? The Stoics recognize that our suffering stems not from reality itself, but from the stories we tell ourselves about it. If you wish to escape the cycle of anger and frustration, you must learn to tame that inner voice. Picture this. If a stranger mutters something rude in a foreign language, do you feel the sting of anger? Typically not, because those words never penetrate your inner dialogue. However, if the same insult is delivered in your own tongue, suddenly your mind latches onto it, replaying it over and over, like a relentless drumbeat that keeps poking at your wounds. It's not merely the words we speak, but rather the attachment our minds hold to them that shapes our experiences. So, how do we cultivate a more constructive inner dialogue? The Stoics offer us 3 profound techniques to harness our thoughts effectively. First, learn to catch that initial thought. When anger flares up, it often emerges alongside thoughts like, they have disrespected me, or this situation is intolerable. It's crucial to seize that thought the moment it arises. Don't let it blossom into a sprawling narrative that entraps you. Remind yourself that this is simply your subjective judgment, not an objective truth. By intercepting the thought early, you prevent it from engulfing your emotional state. Next, practice replacement rather than repetition. If your inner voice is caught in a loop saying, I can't believe they did this to me, it will only serve to intensify your frustration. Instead, substitute that narrative with a Stoic principle. They act according to their nature, while I am in control of my response, and therein lies my strength. By introducing a new thought, you disrupt the cycle of anger and reclaim your peace. Finally, speak to yourself as a wise mentor would, rather than as a harsh critic. Many individuals allow their inner monologue to undermine their spirit, resorting to self-blame and exaggeration. Instead, converse with yourself in a nurturing manner. Pose the question, will this anger serve me, or would it be wiser to release it? Guide your thoughts as though you were leading a friend rather than punishing an adversary. Seneca cautioned us, we suffer more often in imagination than in reality. Our imagination communicates through our inner dialogue, and if left unchecked, it can betray us. Yet, once you gain mastery over it, you can confront any insult, betrayal, or challenge without losing your essence. Here's a simple yet effective daily exercise. Each evening, take a moment to reflect on your day. Ask yourself, in what ways did my inner dialogue lead me astray today? Did I embellish the events beyond their truth? Then, reframe those thoughts. Train your mind to adopt a different narrative for tomorrow. Another valuable tool is journaling. Marcus Aurelius didn't craft his meditations for publication. He wrote them to reinforce Stoic principles and discipline his inner voice. You can follow suit. Whenever anger lingers, jot it down. Then inquire, what judgment did I impose that exacerbated my feelings? Replace it with a more serene truth. At the end of the day, think of your mind as a theater. If you permit angry scripts to play out unchecked, they will dominate the performance. However, if you rewrite the script with reason and calmness, there will be no stage for anger to act upon. The next time you sense anger bubbling beneath the surface, take a step back and ask yourself, what am I telling myself in this moment? Then realize, it's not the incident, not the individual, nor the world that stirs your anger. It's your internal dialogue that ignites the flames. The moment you recognize this, the fire begins to extinguish. When you take command of your inner voice, you take control of your tranquility. Nothing external can disturb your peace unless your mind consents to it. This is why Epictetus proclaimed, "You may chain my leg, but not even Zeus himself has the power to shatter my freedom of choice." True freedom begins with the voice that resonates within your mind. Strive to make it a Stoic voice, one of reason rather than fury. Now, let's explore the fourth principle. Hit the pause button. Viktor Frankl, although not a Stoic himself, profoundly echoed their wisdom when he said, "Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In this space lies the potential for reflection, choice, and ultimately, liberation. Within that sacred space lies our remarkable ability to choose how we respond. It is in our responses that we discover both our growth and our liberation." This profound concept serves as the key to breaking free from the chains of anger. Anger flourishes in the realm of immediacy. It thrives on impulsive reactions. An insult is hurled, and you retaliate swiftly. An inconvenience arises, and you erupt with frustration. A betrayal comes to light, and rage consumes you. However, if you can cultivate even the tiniest gap between the event that triggers you and your subsequent action, you strip anger of its power over you. The Stoics, ancient philosophers known for their wisdom, mastered this profound discipline. The great Marcus Aurelius reminded himself every day of this truth. You possess dominion over your mind, not over external circumstances. Embrace this realization, and you will unearth extraordinary strength. This power ignites the moment you decide to refrain from an immediate reaction. Let's explore this concept in a practical context. Picture a scenario where someone hurls an insult at you in front of others. The instinctive response might be to defend yourself, retaliate, or retreat into silence. But imagine if, in that very moment, you took a brief pause for just 3 deep breaths. Within those breaths, you remind yourself, their words can only wound me if I allow them to penetrate my mind. In that moment of reflection, rather than sinking into the muck of negativity, you elevate yourself above the situation. Now consider another situation. You find yourself caught in traffic, already running late. The car ahead seems to crawl at a snail's pace, and frustration begins to bubble within you. Typically, you might honk the horn, mutter curses under your breath, or let your entire day take a dark turn. Yet, if you can create that precious space, perhaps by taking a slow, deep breath and reminding yourself, "This is beyond my control, but my peace can remain intact," you transform chaos into serenity. The power of that pause is not an indication of weakness. Rather, it is an illustration of mastery. It demonstrates that you are not merely a puppet of your impulses, but rather a skilled commander of your inner landscape. Here are some practical strategies to incorporate this pause into your daily life. First, train your breath. Make it a habit to take 3 slow, deliberate breaths whenever you feel the stirrings of anger before saying or doing anything. Your breath becomes the steadfast anchor that restores your sense of control. Next, employ mental cues. Select a phrase that resonates with you to serve as a reminder during heated moments. Something like, "This is just noise," or "I will not surrender my peace." These brief reminders create a vital space between the trigger and your reaction. Another technique is to delay your response. If feasible, hold off on replying to a message, email, or confrontation. Give it an hour or even a day. You will likely discover that what once felt urgent loses its intensity when you allow yourself to step back. Additionally, practice small pauses daily. Don't wait for significant conflicts to hone this skill. Instead, practice pausing during minor annoyances. When you spill a drink, when someone speaks too loudly, or when plans unexpectedly shift. These small moments of pause build resilience for the larger storms that life may throw your way. The philosopher Seneca wisely stated, "The greatest remedy for anger is delay." Why is this so? Because anger resembles a fire. If you feed it instantly, it rages out of control. Yet, if you allow time and space to pass, that fire will ultimately extinguish itself. Remember, the world often expects you to react in a certain way. They anticipate that you will shout when insulted, slam a door in frustration, or lash out when betrayed. But when you respond with composure instead, it catches them off guard. It demonstrates that you cannot be easily manipulated. This is the essence of true power. Creating that space is not merely about sidestepping conflict. It's about cultivating dignity within yourself. Imagine proclaiming, "I am not just a creature governed by instinct. I am a being endowed with reasoning, discipline, and the power of choice. It is this very choice that holds the key to my freedom." When life throws challenges your way, resist the urge to immediately ask, "How can I obliterate this anger?" Instead, take a moment to consider, "Can I take a brief pause to allow reason to intervene?" That moment of stillness has the potential to safeguard your tranquility, nurture your relationships, and even bolster your well-being. Anger demands urgency, but true wisdom flourishes in the garden of patience. Now, let's delve into the 5th lesson. Don't take their words to heart. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus wisely stated, "If someone speaks ill of you, remember they do so because they believe it to be just." It is not the words that inflict harm upon you, but rather your interpretation of them. This insight is crucial for liberation from anger. Often, the reason we feel hurt by insults or criticisms is that we internalize them. We allow another person's words to pierce our heart like arrows. But here's a liberating truth. Insults seldom reflect who you are. They reveal the turmoil of the person hurling them. Consider this perspective. If someone is consumed by bitterness, that bitterness will inevitably spill over. If they harbor insecurities, they will project those feelings onto others. If they wrestle with anger, they will unleash that fury on anyone within reach. Understanding this transforms their words from deadly weapons into mere reflections of their inner chaos. Seneca once articulated, "A person who suffers before it is necessary suffers more than is necessary." When someone hurls an insult your way, you endure pain not once, but twice. First, when the words are spoken, and again when you replay them in your thoughts. But what if you chose not to replay them? What if you recognized that this noise belongs to them, not to your reality? Here's how you can incorporate this wisdom into your daily life. Start by redefining insults. Instead of thinking, "They have hurt me," reframe it to, "They have revealed themselves." Their words unveil their own bitterness, ignorance, or lack of control, rather than defining your identity. Next, practice indifference. Marcus Aurelius often reminded himself, "Choose not to be harmed, and you won't feel harmed. If you don't feel harmed, then you haven't been." When insults come your way, you have the power to decide not to accept them. An insult only retains its power if you allow it to reside in your mind. Detach your self-worth from others' opinions. Visualize holding a precious diamond. If someone were to label it as worthless, would that diminish its value? Absolutely not. Your intrinsic worth is not dictated by the opinions of others. Their words are simply noise drifting through the air. Respond with silence. One of the most potent ways to demonstrate that insults do not affect you is to remain silent. Silence embodies strength. By choosing not to react, you exhibit that you rise above the chaos. This not only unsettles the insulter, but more importantly, it preserves your inner peace. Let's be honest. Words can wound. When someone ridicules you, spreads falsehoods, or attempts to humiliate you, the instinctive response is often to retaliate. Yet, remember this: their words reveal far more about their character than they do about yours. If you allow their negativity to seep into your being, you empower them to win not once, but twice. Initially, it begins with words, and then it escalates to robbing you of your tranquility. Picture a scenario where someone hands you a piece of smoldering coal. If you grasp it, you will be the one who feels the searing pain. However, if you choose to let it fall, it won't harm you. Insults are akin to these burning coals. They only inflict damage if you choose to grasp them. This wisdom was shared by Marcus Aurelius. When faced with blame or animosity from others, or when criticisms arise, delve into their essence. Seek understanding of their character. You will come to realize that there's no reason to be consumed by worry regarding their opinions of you. This understanding is profound. Rather than asking, "Why did they insult me?" ponder instead, "What kind of person feels the need to insult another?" You will swiftly recognize that their actions stem from their own vulnerabilities, not yours. So, the next time someone hurls words intended to hurt, stand firm in your silence. Remind yourself that their negativity is not yours to shoulder. Walk away with your head held high, allowing their insults to return to the source of their discontent, their own troubled spirit. Here lies a powerful truth. The instant you cease to internalize insults, you become invulnerable. People may shout, ridicule, or criticize, but their words can only bind you if you permit yourself to wear those chains. A wise individual does not squander energy battling illusions. They continue to stride forward, impervious in their serenity. In the sixth rule, let it go as if it were a hot ember. Seneca once articulated, "Uncontrolled anger often inflicts more harm upon us than the injury that incited it." Most individuals don't merely feel anger in the heat of the moment, they cling to it. They replay the hurtful words in their minds, nursing grudges that allow bitterness to take root in their hearts. Yet, the Stoics regarded this as a form of self-inflicted agony. The incident may have occurred once, but by holding on to it, you endure it countless times over. If you genuinely wish to break free from the chains of anger and distress, mastering the art of letting go is essential. Not tomorrow, not next week, but swiftly, before it taints your inner peace. Consider anger as if you are carrying a burning coal. The longer you hold it, the more it sears into your being. Nonetheless, many of us choose to clutch it tightly, mistakenly thinking we are harming those who have wronged us. In truth, we only inflict wounds upon ourselves. Marcus Aurelius offered us this vital reminder. The finest form of revenge is to rise above your adversaries. When you harbor anger, you reflect the very essence of those who have caused you harm. But by letting go, you elevate yourself, reclaiming your dignity and shielding your mind from descending into chaos. How then do we cultivate the practice of releasing burdens swiftly? It begins with acknowledging the weight. The first step is admitting, "I am carrying this anger." Often we disguise it as a sense of righteousness or justice, but being honest with ourselves is liberating. Once you identify the burden, you can choose to set it down. Reject the second wound. The Stoics remind us that the first wound is inflicted by others, while the second wound arises from our own choice to cling to it. Ask yourself, why should I continue to suffer for something that has already occurred? Refuse to accept this second wound. Release it before it multiplies and redirect your focus towards action. When faced with challenges, if there's a solution at hand, embrace it wholeheartedly. If not, accept the situation and move on. Clinging to anger is merely squandering your energy. Instead, channel that energy into meaningful action. This is how you can turn your anguish into resilience. Embrace the notion of mental liberation. Picture your anger as a heavy stone resting in your palm. Now, envision yourself slowly opening your hand, allowing that stone to tumble away. Sometimes, a simple mental image can assist your mind in releasing what your heart has been grasping so tightly. Seneca poignantly remarked that unaddressed anger is akin to poison. It festers within, spreading its toxicity, clouding your thoughts, tainting relationships, and robbing you of serenity. Thus, the ability to let go swiftly is not a sign of weakness. It is, in fact, a profound expression of wisdom. Consider this scenario. You find yourself embroiled in a heated argument, words exchanged like weapons. As the night unfolds, the other party drifts into peaceful slumber, while you lie awake, replaying every harsh syllable, contemplating the perfect retort. Who bears the greater burden? Not them. It is you. To harbor anger is to willingly choose to suffer because of someone else's actions. But imagine if instead you decided to release that burden. You tell yourself, what's done is done. It's in the past. I refuse to dwell on it. In that instant, the weight lifts. You take a deep breath, your mind clears, and you reconnect with the present moment, the realm where tranquility resides. The Stoics understood that life is far too precious to squander in bitterness. Marcus Aurelius wisely advised that you could breathe your last at any moment. Let that awareness shape your words, your thoughts, your actions. If today were your final day, would you really spend it nursing an insult or harboring resentment? Or would you prefer to let it all go and embrace a sense of calm? Releasing anger quickly is not solely about finding peace. It embodies the essence of freedom. It signifies that you are no longer shackled by the actions of others. They may inflict pain upon you once, but you refuse to grant them the power to wound you repeatedly through your own thoughts. So the next time you feel anger igniting within you, pause and reflect. Do you want to grasp this burning coal, or will you choose to drop it right now? Remember, the faster you let go, the lighter your spirit becomes. Now, let's delve into Rule 7. Transform problems into educators. Marcus Aurelius once expressed, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." This profound Stoic wisdom reveals that obstacles are not your adversaries. Instead, they are invaluable teachers. Each insult, every moment of frustration, and every setback should not be viewed as curses, but rather as lessons waiting to be learned. The crux of the issue lies in how we perceive difficulties. Often, we interpret challenges as personal attacks. When someone disrespects us, we feel injured. When something obstructs our progress, we feel cheated. When life takes an unexpected turn, we feel punished. Yet, the Stoics remind us that life does not owe us a smooth journey. The bumps and barriers along the way are the very elements that forge our strength. Take a moment to reflect on the nature of anger. Why does it surge within you? Usually, it's because things haven't unfolded as you desired. However, if you shift your perspective and ask, "What can I learn from this?" Suddenly, the intensity of anger diminishes. The problem shifts from being a source of frustration to a valuable lesson, transforming the obstacle into an opportunity for growth. Seneca once imparted a profound truth. Difficulties strengthen the mind just as labor strengthens the body. This means that, much like muscles only grow when they face resistance, our character is forged through the challenges we encounter. If you were never subjected to disrespect, how could you cultivate the virtue of patience? If you never faced opposition, how could you fortify your resilience? And if life's disappointments never crossed your path, how would you come to understand acceptance? To harness these insights, begin by embracing 3 transformative mental shifts. First, pose the training question. When someone provokes your anger, resist the urge to lament, "Why is this happening to me?" Instead, inquire, "What skill is life attempting to teach me at this moment?" Is it patience, calmness, or perhaps detachment? This reframing transforms frustration into an opportunity for growth. Next, reevaluate the significance of setbacks. When life takes an unexpected turn, instead of declaring, "This ruins everything," reframe it with, "This is a crucial part of my training." Treat each challenge as a weight in the gymnasium of life. Without such resistance, growth would be impossible. Cherish the lesson that accompanies each trial rather than dwelling on the pain it inflicts. Even in moments of hurt, redirect your focus towards the wisdom being offered, rather than the injury itself. An insult may sting, but it also imparts a lesson in endurance. A delay can be frustrating, yet it serves as a lesson in patience. Let's make this real. Picture a scenario where someone betrays your trust. You could easily spiral into a whirlwind of rage, fixating solely on their treachery. Alternatively, you could step back and ponder, "What does this experience teach me about trust, human nature, and my own resilience?" In this way, the lesson acts as a protective shield against the consuming fire of anger. Consider the situation where you lose an opportunity for which you've worked tirelessly. Many would succumb to bitterness in such moments. However, the Stoic response would be to view this loss as a lesson in acceptance. one that prepares you for even greater challenges ahead. Remember, obstacles do not destroy you. They forge you into a stronger version of yourself. Marcus Aurelius embodied this philosophy throughout his life. As emperor, he encountered betrayal, warfare, plagues, and relentless criticism. Yet, rather than railing against the unfairness of existence, he reflected inwardly with the thought, "The obstacle on the path becomes the path." He transformed every hardship into a means of spiritual fortification. As you begin to perceive setbacks as invaluable teachers, a remarkable transformation occurs. You cease to be surprised by life's challenges. Instead of harboring anger, you cultivate a sense of readiness. Where bitterness once resided, wisdom begins to flourish. With every trial you face, you grow calmer, stronger, and more unshakable. The reality is that life will perpetually present you with obstacles. People will disappoint you, situations will frustrate you, and plans will shift unexpectedly. While you cannot prevent these occurrences, you can train yourself to confront them with curiosity and inner strength rather than anger. So, the next time you feel rage bubbling within you due to life's unfairness, take a moment to pause and ask yourself, what lesson lies hidden within this experience? Remind yourself that the obstacle is not your adversary. It is, in fact, your teacher. This shift in perspective will not only quell your anger, but will also transform your entire relationship with life. Suddenly, nothing becomes wasted. Each trial is a training ground, every insult is a lesson, and every setback is strength cloaked in disguise. Once you begin to view life through this lens, resentment dissipates, and you find yourself embracing each moment. You learn to grow alongside life's challenges, rising above anger and emerging into a realm of wisdom. I encourage you to embrace this powerful affirmation. Every challenge is a lesson, not an adversary. Let's pause and reflect on the idea of being present, fully immersed in the now. The philosopher Seneca wisely stated, "We suffer more often in our minds than in reality." This profound insight is a cornerstone of Stoic philosophy, particularly when it comes to managing feelings of anger and distress. A significant portion of our frustration stems not from our current circumstances, but from the relentless cycle of thoughts about the past, the future, or even the what could have been. Consider this. Someone may have wronged you yesterday, and today you find yourself replaying that moment in your mind, allowing it to haunt you. Or perhaps you fear betrayal in the days to come, and your thoughts spiral into a whirlwind of anxiety. While the event itself may seem trivial or forgotten by others, you are trapped in that moment, reliving it time and again. This is the breeding ground for anger and distress. The Stoics imparted a crucial lesson. Your true strength resides in the present. The past is unchangeable, and the future is beyond your control. Yet you hold the power to direct your thoughts, focus your attention, and dictate your actions in this very moment. Grounding yourself in the present is akin to dropping a sturdy anchor into turbulent waters. It provides stability when the emotional tides threaten to overwhelm you. Marcus Aurelius frequently reminded himself to confine yourself to the present. By concentrating solely on what lies before you, you deny energy to perceived grievances, slights, or anxieties. You extinguish the flames of anger and instead remain rooted in what genuinely matters. Now, let's explore how to incorporate this wisdom into your daily life. Pay attention to when your thoughts start to drift. Anger often emerges when your mind revisits past wounds or conjures up imagined offenses. The first step is cultivating awareness. Recognize that you are ruminating over yesterday's events or envisioning a worst-case scenario for tomorrow. Awareness serves as your first anchor. Gently redirect your focus to the present. Engage your senses. Notice the colors around you, the sounds that fill the air, the sensations of touch, or the rhythm of your breath. Feel your feet firmly planted on the ground. The present moment is inherently neutral and calm. It neither insults nor betrays you. Ask yourself, what can I do in this moment? Instead of dwelling in anger, shift your energy toward actions that lie within your control. What steps can you take right now to enhance your situation or simply maintain your peace? Taking action in the present diminishes the hold of imagined anger. Let go of the should-haves. Much of our anger is rooted in expectations. They should have acted differently. This shouldn't have happened. Life ought to be fair. The Stoics remind us that reality does not conform to our desires. Embrace what is and anchor yourself in the present. Cultivating a practice of presence is essential. Each morning or evening, dedicate a few moments to immerse yourself fully in the now. Even a mere 5 minutes of meditation, mindful breathing, or simply observing your surroundings can train your mind to return to the present instead of dwelling on the past or fretting about the future. When you anchor yourself in the present, the minor annoyances and imagined offenses lose their power. A rude comment becomes just a comment. A mistake turns into a mere fact. Traffic jams, delayed responses, and missteps all remain neutral until your mind assigns meaning to them. Epictetus once shared a profound insight. Do not insist that life unfolds according to your desires. Instead, wish for it to unfold as it does, and you will find a sense of well-being. This wisdom embodies the essence of anchoring ourselves in the present moment. It is about embracing life as it comes, resisting the urge to let fabricated scenarios steal your tranquility, and choosing to respond with serenity in each moment. Anger thrives in the dim corners of memories and future possibilities, while peace flourishes in the bright light of the present. When you immerse yourself in the here and now, you become invulnerable. The world may hurl insults, place obstacles in your path, or present disappointments, yet your inner calm remains steadfast. So, when feelings of anger begin to bubble up, pause for a moment and reflect. Am I reacting to what is real, or to a memory or a fantasy? By concentrating solely on the reality of the present, you will discover that much of your anger dissipates before it can take root. Embrace this affirmation. I live in the present, and peace is my anchor. Throughout this journey, we have explored the Stoic approach to liberating ourselves from anger and distress. From learning to separate events from our judgments, anticipating human imperfections, to mastering our internal dialogues, we have uncovered valuable techniques for creating mental space, letting go of burdens, and grounding ourselves in the present. You are now equipped with timeless and practical tools to reclaim your inner peace. The teachings of the Stoics impart a simple yet profound lesson. The world holds no power over you unless you grant it that authority. Every insult, every frustration, and every setback is inherently neutral until your mind assigns meaning to it. By embracing responsibility for your perceptions, expectations, and reactions, you can step out of the tumult of emotions and into the tranquility of rational thought. Keep in mind that anger is a thief. It robs you of clarity, joy, and the ability to act wisely. However, by adopting these Stoic principles, you empower yourself to become untouchable. You no longer surrender your peace to anyone or anything. You respond with calmness. You perceive challenges as valuable lessons. You release negativity swiftly. You root yourself firmly in the present. Above all, you determine what to believe, what to feel, and how to respond. True freedom does not lie in the absence of challenges, but in mastering your inner landscape. Life will invariably present its trials. Yet the Stoics remind us that no tempest can obliterate a mind anchored in discipline, reason, and tranquility. Begin today. Implement these principles in your daily life. Practice them during small, everyday moments, and you will gradually notice the fading of old reflexes of anger and distress. Your life will become more serene, your mind will sharpen, and your spirit will strengthen. Embrace this final affirmation. I am untouchable, calm, and at peace. As you integrate these lessons into your life, watch how your world transforms, not because the world has changed, but because you have.